Hello, everybody. It's Romania Black. So, we're on episode 5 of Stars Align, and my friend Wushin on Patreon told me that I was going to need a glass of wine for this episode. So, here we are. The last episode, episode 4, everything was going great. Maki had figured out the pairs needed to be switched up on the soft tennis team. He switched up all the pairs. It was a little bit challenging at first because it was a dynamic they weren't used to, but then after a while they all kind of got in the groove, and Maki kind of went easy on him with Toma to let him, win the games. And then the art instructor, Taki, that they call him as a nickname, set up this match with them and the champion team in the area, and so it looked like they were going to have a practice game. Everything was going good. Everybody was getting along great. Things are going wonderful. And then right at the end of the episode, this shit dad pops out of nowhere, Maki's father, and I thought he was going to hit him with the racket, but he did not. He broke it instead. And so right before their championship practice game. And so it's like Maki has tried to cover the fact that his abusive father is still in his life. He told the teacher, the art and sponsor, that he had fell out of his bed and hit his face, and that's why he had that bruise on his face. He's conveniently not told his mom about the money being missing or about his dad showing up. Like, he's not told anybody about it because it's a very delicate situation. But with the racket being broken and it not being his racket, with it being Toma's, then this adds another complicated layer to it, because why would Maki break his racket? He wants to win the game because he wants the money, so why would he break the racket? So I have a feeling that Toma, who's pretty forward about asking these sort of things, is going to confront Maki, and it's not going to be fun. So, y'all warned me. You warned me. So yeah, I'm going to save that over there. Might need it. But yeah, so anyway, we're going to start episode 5 here of Stars Align. And again, there's no title card, so I have no clue what to expect. But I've really liked this series so far. It's such a nuanced and different way of looking at a sports anime. It's almost like this, calling it a sports anime, it is a sports anime. That's the thing. Because part of me is like, no, it's slice of life. But then, no, it's a sports anime. They went over soft tennis. They've spent the last several episodes telling us the rules and how you play and diving into the sport itself. So it is a sports anime, but it's diving into really relatable situations that I think any reader and viewer can come into, whether it's having an abusive parent or family member or someone in your life that's bullied you. I mean, it doesn't even have to be an abusive family member. It can be the kids that were bullying Yuta, and it doesn't even have to be about their sexuality. It can be about, just anything. You can relate to Mitsu and her negativity towards society because of some reason. There's aspects about these characters that I feel are relatable to everyone in some shape or context, and the way that they do it is very genuine and natural. So there's that. But yeah, so we're gonna start this episode. I'm gonna have to look up for my reactions now, so I'm looking up at the screen right now. So if you notice me looking up, that's me watching. But yeah, let's do this, shall we? Let's see what we got ourselves into. I'm dreading what's going to happen with Maki. I love Maki, and his father's garbage, and I'm dreading it. So let's rip the Band-Aid off. I've waited a solid week to watch this episode, by the way. I'd gotten a little bit ahead of myself because I'd recorded a little bit ahead because I was going to be gone on a couple of Fridays, and I was like, I'll just record ahead. And so I recorded episode 4 last week. So it's been a solid week since I've watched episode 4, and it's still fresh in my mind, which is telling, because usually I have to go back and rewatch an episode, or at least rewatch parts of it in case I missed something. But not that show. Not this one. It's all fresh. So let's do this, shall we? We are going to start episode 5 of Stars Align here. Get this all set up here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh, that episode was a tad bit emotional. Oh my gosh. There's so much Toma being the team therapist, being the best friend. I gained a lot of respect for Toma this episode. And at first, rewatching this episode, Maki asking Tsubasa, being like, hey, oh, can I borrow your racket? I don't know. And of course, Toma calls him out. He's like, what happened to the racket? What's the deal? And honestly, I didn't think that Maki was going to be honest with him. I thought that it was going to be this whole melodrama and he was going to make up a lie and then Toma was going to find out. But no, he was open and honest with him and was like, no, here's what happened. And him just sitting down and quietly explaining what happened to him. Like, I was starting to get a little emotional in this episode because Maki's reaction and his storytelling in that moment was so genuine and real, and it felt like a real conversation that two people would have about something delicate like this. And they're middle schoolers. They're kids in 6th grade, or they're in 5th grade technically, or I guess middle school goes up to 8th, so they're like 7th graders. They're like 11, 12-year-old kids. They don't, for them to have a conversation like this that's so mature is really, really hard. And Toma, I'm curious because Toma, he tells Rentaro he's envious of his parents because obviously his mother has a lot of animosity towards him. But then with Maki, he instantly takes Maki's side. He's like, no, that's not right. No one should be like that with you. And I'm so glad he was there at the house with them. That was what I was thinking when the dad was coming to visit. I'm like, what if Toma was there? Like, would that be a buffer? And it's really not much of a buffer. The dad was just as scary then as he was normally. Like, you can tell he's either like on drugs or strung out or something because there was no putting on airs. He was like gonna take on this kid. And then Toma's a little bit scary this episode when he's like, I could kill you and get off light because I'm a minor. And then the dad's like, well, what if I killed you first? And it's like, and then it took Maki coming in to be like, I'll kill you, and him be like, for him to feel threatened and leave. Because I think he honestly think Maki would, as much as he's abused him. And it's so, like, the way that shows do this flashback, they make everything like pastel and light and pretty, but usually the flashbacks are these horrible, angsty, terrible things, and so it's such a contrast. But just Toma's acceptance of Maki and being a friend, like Toma did exactly what he needed to. He was like, I'm gonna be there for you. And he did the same thing with Rentaro. He's like, whatever you need, I'm gonna offer it to you. Like, he gives him the racket, he gives him the advance on the money, and I'm sure he doesn't really care at this point about the bet. He's just giving him the money so that he's better off. But Toma has a good heart, and he has good intentions, and whatever's happened between him and his mom, all that aside, he's just a good friend. And I really gained a lot of respect for Toma this episode because, yeah, he gets anxious, he gets fired up, he gets angry easily, but at the center of it all, he has a really good heart, and he cares for Maki, and that's what's important. And for Maki to just come out and be so honest, that takes a lot of courage to admit something like that, especially to a friend. Like, that was really, like, just cut you to the core. Ugh. And then you have Rentaro's situation, which I felt so bad for Rentaro. Now I was been wondering the last couple of episodes what Rentaro's deal has been, and it's been that he's been working so hard to be the vice president and to get the plans and everything set in motion and to make those agendas and schedules, and then Toma just comes up and he's like, hey, look what Maki did, let's use it instead. And Rentaro was just like, that feeling of being useless. And of course he feels guilty because Maki's like, what have you guys been doing the last year? And Rentaro was like, well, it's my fault that we suck. And then of course Toma's like, no, this is a team problem, not just a you problem. And then that's when Rentaro, so he's having issues with him being adopted. And I'm like, I want to just like give Rentaro a hug and be like, dude, your parents wouldn't have adopted you if you were a burden. They wouldn't have gone out of their way to adopt a kid if they thought it was going to be a burden. They wanted you in their lives, and they love you, and they were sad because they had to tell you about your real parents. Because I have a friend from school that growing up, it was the same situation. The mom couldn't take care of him, so she put him up for adoption, and this family that couldn't have kids adopted him. And then when he was in high school, they had to tell him, be like, hey, your real mom exists, and you have siblings, and you have half siblings, and here's the deal. And he was like, all through high school, he's like, yeah, that's my biological mom, and those are my biological siblings, but I'm not connected to them. Like, my real family is my parents and these people that raised me. So, and I think even now, he's in his 30s, and he doesn't keep in contact with his real mom at all. It's his parents that he has his kids, takes them to, and their grandparents and things like that. So So that's why I want to tell Rentaro, I'll be like, dude, your parents wouldn't have adopted you if they didn't want you. Like, you're not a burden. And so I'm glad that we get finally, like, his backstory and what his deal is. And Toma being like, I'm envious of you because your parents are so proud of you. And so that's why I'm wondering, too, if Toma, he said his mom, he's like, your parents are proud of you and I'm envious. If his mom, obviously she's not proud of him, she's scared of him. So, which, you know, Toma stepping up and having some energy there, being like, I'll kill you for hurting my friend. Maybe that anger, like, reminds her of her husband. Maybe something like that. I don't know. We haven't gotten into Toma's backstory really yet. And maybe we will, maybe we won't. But, Maki hugging the racket and crying over it, like, that's what got me. Was like, he was like, someone was so kind to give him an extra racket. And Toma's got like 4 in there, so he's got ones to spare. Yuta and Mitsu are so interesting in the show. Mitsu, I feel like Mitsu is an audience surrogate in a way. Like, she basically is like just watching the team kind of like we are the whole time. And she's like, I don't know, I guess if I get bored, I'll come and watch whatever, who knows. And, you know, in reality, the reality of it is that, yeah, she's going to come watch. Like, as soon as she said, she's like, I don't know, it's going to be a boring Sunday. I'm like, girl, you're going to come watch. So I want to talk more about Yuta, but real quick, I'm rewatching this episode, and there's a scene, Miss Muro, who's the girls' soft tennis coach, and then she's flirting so hardcore with this art sponsor, and then he says, adults don't change. Adults don't grow, you know. So I think that's very interesting that he believes that once you're an adult, you don't change anymore. Which, from the adults that we've seen, yeah, that's kind of not wrong, but that's an interesting way of putting it. Like, adults don't grow up. Once you're an adult, you kind of stay there. But, so, these track guys come in. I didn't realize the track team and other teams could come in and share that locker room, which I guess they could. And so, the track guy coming in, I want to talk about Yuta in this, and this one guy that takes off his jersey and slings it in and, like, shows off his body, and he makes the comment, here we go, he makes, come on, look at this, aren't you? And then that's when our high GVA, Shingo and them come in, and they're like, you guys are being rude, like, leave him alone, leave Yuta alone. And then, our Demon Senpai is just like, get out of here. And Yuta being so, like, smiling and being so happy. Here's the thing, we have Yuta giving out the water bottles, and all of his teammates take them, and it's like Yuta's been accepted into this group as their manager. And I love that, like, he's found this, like, accepting, tolerating community. Because maybe Yuta is gay. Maki kind of asked him that back in episode 2. He's like, hey, do you like Toma? Are you gay? It's okay if you are. And Yuta's like, I don't want to talk about it. And so I get the impression that maybe Yuta is, and these guys are teasing him about it, but the other team's like, nah, it's cool, leave him alone. Don't bother him, it's not any of your business. So I like that. I like the teammates have been really accepting of Yuta so far, and that they kind of defend him in that moment. And he's just like one of the guys with them. And then them saying that they're training and getting training methods is really them going to the bank to get the cash to give the dad. But God, that dad, he's a piece of trash. A piece of garbage. Nope. Ugh. And Toma just throwing the money. Toma throwing the money at him was so satisfying. I was like, yep. So I'm like, I hope he doesn't come back anytime soon. I really don't. But you know what was more satisfying than that? The freaking hug. The freaking hug between Maki and Toma. Oh, that was life-giving. Like, Toma's like, hey, it's okay. And goes to shake his hand. You're my partner. And then Maki's just like, I just need to hug somebody. And he just accepts it. And it's like, damn, that just got me in the feels. It's like, ugh. And so we get a little bit of the girl, the student council president, and her grandma and her mother, which I find really interesting, that they're in this upper class, like, elite family. She's like, oh, you need to go to the school of the townspeople that work for your father. It's like, oh my God, like, upper elite much. But I like that the family drama with her is almost played as comedy, that the grandma and the mom arguing over, squabbling over what school she's going to go to and having foul taste. Like, it's played for comedy here. It's not played as something like Maki or Rintarou's situation. But I like that they've argued over what to name her, and they call her different names. But then at the end, she's like, my name is Kaori. And it's like, you get that impression. She's like, when I'm old enough, this is what I'm legally changing my name to. And then she has the phone with the macarons and just watching them squabble in her diary. Like, her character's actually interesting. I like it. And she's like, this is my name. It's very cute. And then we have, like, Shoji playing with the sister, and he has the shirt with the stuff on. Like, he's so into it with her. That's so adorable and cute. Like, I like these little insights into the characters' families and their home life. Like, that's so interesting to me. And I love that we get that with him and then with Kaori as well. Very, very funny. Very funny. And then, Mitsu, I don't know if Mitsu likes Maki or if she just wants him as a friend, because Yuta makes the comment, he's like, oh, you just want to hang around Maki. And I think she just views Maki as a friend. But they're middle schoolers, so who knows? Who knows if it's true or not? And then, of course, we get to the point where they go to the actual... And, of course, I love that the art sponsor tries to give a speech, and then Toma's like, we have to do this for our people. And it's like making this big old spiel. I love it. And you can tell he's just as nervous as the rest of them, but that's how he, like, projects it. He's just, like, gets more fired up. And then this redhead, what the heck, whoever the heck this redhead is, coming in being like, I'll punch y'all if you don't win. It's like, dude, what the heck? Like, clearly he's the team captain, but I don't see these guys winning at all because they're a championship team. I don't see them winning at all. What I want is like Maki or Toma to score a point against this redheaded kid just to put him in his place a little bit. Like, that's all I want. I don't foresee these guys winning at all against them. I don't. I really don't. But I do want them to at least score some points. Or even if they score 1 point in the game, it's against this kid who's just like a snot-nosed brat. But, oh my gosh. What I like about this show is delving into real situations and handling it in a way that middle schoolers would handle it. So like Toma's conversation with both Maki and Rentaro it's basic, but it's what a middle schooler would say to another middle schooler. It's so interesting and it's so fresh and nuanced. I really like it. And so I just find it fascinating, and I'm curious to know how the practice match is going to go, if we're going to spend all of next episode, because next episode will be at the halfway point of the season. And so I'm curious to know where we go to from there. Like, the practice match is next episode, so I'm curious to know if it's going to last one episode or be multiple episodes, and where we go to after that, because the mangaka was only able, the creator was only able to do half of the season the way they wanted to. So I'm curious to know when we get to the halfway point what that's going to be like. Or maybe we're going to get more slice of life family stuff with the other family members, with the other club members. That would be interesting. We still have to know about Toma and his home life. Haiji's voice actor plays the purple haired boy. We haven't got anything on him. We just saw Shoji with his sister, and then we don't have anything with Now, because Now's the daydreamer. We don't have anything with his character yet. So there's clearly like other characters we haven't got backstory on, and so I'm curious if we're going to do backstory for them. And then how this practice match is obviously going to go. And then what it means for the art sponsor and what his past is. Like, there's clearly something with him going on. But I was just... Toma. Best friendo. I was really, really dreading the dad being in this episode and them handling it. I mean, it's very middle school for them to say, I'll kill you. Like, it's very a middle school thing to do. But it's like, how do you handle that when you have an adult who's clearly not supposed to be there and is abusive? Like, how do you handle that? Like, that's like a nightmare situation. Somebody just barging into your home and abusing you. Like, that's a nightmare scenario. And Maki's had to live that so many times over. Like, it's just so traumatizing. And I like that Toma says, don't tell Maki to Rentaro, like, I don't want you to get him all riled up, because he would. He was like that with Itsuki, kind of. Yeah. So, really good episode. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below, what you guys thought about it. I thought that was really interesting. I'm really curious to know how the practice match goes. We got a lot of things with Toma and Maki and Rentaro this episode. We finally know what Rentaro's situation is, but I'm curious to know next episode how this practice match goes. They got a lot of second years. A lot. And I'm like, I don't know. And then the sponsor was like, we're not going to go easy on you. So it's like, So yeah, I'm curious to know what happens. But please feel free to comment down below. Please no spoilers, but I'm curious to know your thoughts on the episode. But yeah, next week, we'll be at the halfway point of the season. It's pretty exciting stuff. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe and take care. And I'll be back next week with episode 6 of Stars Align. Bye.